with the One Movement South Africa crowd. Let's cross to you, Natasha. Over to you.
We must meet this one.
Well, apologies there, Nompo, and of course, SABC fears for, those technical problems. Of course, you could understand that, technology sometimes is really a problem. But like I said earlier on, we saw the One South Africa movement chief activist, Mr. Mmusi Maimane, just making those independent candidates sign their pledge to the people of South Africa. And of course, some of the main tenets of that pledge is to depoliticize local governance. Of course, he has indicated in time past that he is working with independent candidates from 12 key municipalities across the country, and there were 12 organizations, that are actually helping those independent candidates. We'll just actually ask him how many independent candidates were actually under this roof today. I can see some are actually behind you today.
Yeah. So good afternoon, fellow South Africans. What we represent is just over 250 odd candidates and across the country, and we wanted to be very conscious about the fact that we work with citizens who can bring change in municipalities. And so today wasn't only just it wasn't candidates, it was representatives from the various municipalities and the 12 organizations that we stand for. And I want to say to the people of South Africa, the reason you want these associations is because they will be on your ballot and they will be the people you can hold accountable. It's not just a question of saying it's independent candidate with this name. It's also under this association. Why? Because when you want to remove them, if they don't do the job, you can do that easily because they are in your community, they work for you. We are tired of politics where political parties just come and dump candidates. We want communities to be at the center, and that's why today's theme was really about power back to the people.
And you've mentioned that this is not a manifesto launch as you've seen in time past. How is this pledging ceremony different from the one that we saw that was conducted by the IEC on Friday? Does this pledge also encourage political tolerance?
More than anything, I think what this pledge indicates is the commitment to say this is what we are going to do. Remember, local government is governed by law. There's no ideology when it comes to fixing tar roads, getting water, getting electricity. So I find manifestos a list of empty promises. We've had manifesto after manifesto, yet local government is in decay. So to add another manifesto is a bit like saying, let's just stick to the formula. What we wanted to do today is to say, what is the contract between a candidate and the community? So that you can say to the community, you can expect the following things. So that's why they sign publicly to say, to say we are going to do these things governed by the laws of local government so we can deliver for the people. And I think today's ceremony was in that sense not only just a commitment to say here's what we are going to do, but a contract signing ceremony between us and communities.
And you're quite stern on stage saying that if should these independent candidates actually be voted into power, if they do not deliver services to the people or to their communities where they serve in, they'll be booted out, and you personally will help the community members remove them from those positions.
Absolutely. You can't stand in a timeless creed that says we the people and say power to the people, and then when it matters that they need to change their representative, you say power to the political party. Let's wait for the party to decide its disciplinary processes, its factional wars. No. We are saying that each of the candidates are obviously bound contractually to the community, and if you break that contract, i.e. you become corrupt, you don't live in those communities, you ultimately don't respond to voters, they must vote you out. If I use the illustration of an Uber, when you get onto an Uber, you rate the driver there and then, and if the driver doesn't do their job, their ratings decrease and you remove them. And our commitment as One South Africa is that I want to give power back to the people who work with the communities to make sure that accountability is always effective.
Mr. Maimane, I was listening to Dr. Lewis on stage, and he also indicated that independent candidates could actually be kingmakers come the November polls. Talks about coalition governments then.
Having worked in so many complex coalitions, the one thing that you've got to be upfront about is to say, we've got a pledge. Are you going to advance the pledge? We can't pick political parties up front. We are saying, if you live in Mfuleni, vote for New Horizon. If you live in JS Moroka, vote for Michael, all the associations. And the reason we want to do that is that when it comes to saying, let's decide on what happens, let the pledge be the guide. Because I'm tired of empty promises from political parties, and we're not going to help anybody capture the state. We are for the people, by the people. So we will await that decision on the 2nd of November, and then we'll take the discussions further on from there.
Let's talk about the training you've been providing to independent candidates. How's that process been? I've heard, I spoke to Salma and France in the morning, they've lauded the training processes. Yes. You've equipped them a lot, but also another challenge when it comes to independent candidates is the issue of funding.
Sure, certainly. And we felt the training very beneficial to so many people, because what the training has done is that it's allowed us to help people understand what local government does, increase the competence. But we also know that the people who have attracted, I mean, we've got doctors, we've got lawyers, we've got teachers. So already they came in, perhaps maybe in different areas of competence. Remember, government was never a career. It was a place of service. People went and made success elsewhere and then came into government to serve. Now that's what we are wanting to encourage, and they need to learn the very essence of government, having succeeded in other areas. But given that, so the training has been successful. Funding is always a difficulty. It's always going to be hard in communities, particularly for poor communities. That's why you need a One South Africa, because then we can be able to say, how do we manage the networks that we've got, the business people, the communities, but the citizens themselves, to be able to say, I'll make 10 rands, 20 rands to contribute to the success of the campaign.
Mr. Maimane, because of time, my producer's actually whispering my ear. I have to cut this short. Of course, you've heard what the chief activist of One South Africa movement had to say, as well as all these independent candidates behind me, South Africa. These are 1,000, part of the 1,725 independent candidates that will be contesting this year's local elections. With that said, I neither want to add or subtract to what Mr. Maimane had to say. So for that, it's back to you in studio.